Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I have sort of half a video for you today. We're looking at the Cosmi shotgun today. This is a boutique Italian sporting shotgun that still, unlike the typical boutique sporting shotguns that are, two barrels and very fancy, this is actually a really interesting and unusual self-loading action in a form factor that looks just like a break action shotgun. Now, I filmed this back in 2015, so 6.5 years ago at this point. And the problem was I filmed looking at the internals of the gun, and then we were going to go take it out to the range and do some shooting with it. Well, the Cosmi requires specific recoil springs for specific loads of shell, and we had the wrong combination. And so we got out to the range and it didn't run, and so we didn't bother filming it. Nothing actually broken with the gun, just poor planning on our part. And I haven't had a chance to get my hands on another Cosmi since. So I had a couple people actually specifically asking about the Cosmi. Now, eventually I will get my hands on one and I will do a more complete, more proper video with some actual shooting. But for the time being, I figured, you know what? I've got this footage still here. It's that week between Christmas and New Year's, and yeah, I'm going to slack off a little bit. So I'm going to show you the footage that I have on the Cosmi, partly because I'm lazy, and partly because I hope that it will satisfy a little bit of the curiosity of those of you who are familiar with the Cosmi and want to see more. And those of you who have never heard of it, well, consider this a teaser for a future video that will be a little bit more in-depth. So the Cosmi shotguns are just fantastically handmade, gorgeous, magnificent guns. These were first designed by Rodolfo Cosmi. He had the prototype working in 1925. Unfortunately, he didn't really live long enough to see these enter major production. He died in 1936, and the business was taken over by his two sons, Marcello and Americo. In 1938, they moved to the factory's current location, in Italy, of course, and they've made about 8,000 of these guns since 1938. They've been in almost constant production, with a brief intermission from 1940 to 45 for the Second World War. But the design has remained basically the same. There have been some improvements made, but not a whole lot, just little incremental things. They do make these in 12, 16, and 20 gauge. They recently started offering them in alloy and titanium versions in addition to the typical steel. So if you want the gun a little bit lighter, they can do that for you. Over 100 parts in this gun. Everything is handmade. All the major components are machined from forgings. Really everything you could ask for in a modern boutique handmade shotgun. Now, what makes these really interesting, of course, is not the fact that they're so intricately manufactured, it's how they work, because holy cow, are they different than pretty much anything else you've seen. Obviously, as you can see, this appears to be a break action gun. It appears to be a single barrel break action gun. It is actually a semi-auto with an 8-round magazine capacity. What happens is when you pop this action, holy moly, what is all of that? This, in fact, is mostly the magazine assembly. So I'm going to close this up. We're going to take the handguard off and we're going to take a look at how this functions. So disassembly, we're going to take this sling swivel at the front of the handguard, and I'm going to unscrew it. It's got a little catch there. Once it's loose, like that, then I'm going to pull the stock slightly away and off the gun. So there's our fore end. Really nice fine checkering on there. But more importantly, we have our spring and recoil system here under the barrel. Now, I can break the gun in half, kind of like a typical break action. We have a pivot right here. All right, you can see it has this rather unusual, somewhat spring-loaded lever in here. What that allows you to do is manually disconnect the bolt from the barrel extension, which is necessary to load it. So I'm going to lift up on this lever. This pulls the locking piece down out of the barrel extension and allows me to pull the bolt back. Now, the bolt travels freely at this point, so the locking recess is right up in here. This is what the bolt locks into. That's what keeps the bolt in battery when the gun fires. Recoil energy throws this whole assembly with the bolt locked into it backwards against the force of this recoil spring. And that is the mechanism of operation. Now you can hear this. There's a locking piece up inside the top of the bolt that you can hear snap loudly into place when it goes all the way forward. There it is. Now we're locked into the barrel extension, ready to fire. You can see this diagonal pin. That's actually the firing pin. We have an exposed area right back here. That's where the hammer contacts it. All right, so the locking lever is right up in there. See, when I manually operate this lever, it springs up. Well, when you fire the gun and the bolt runs into this angled surface, it disconnects the bolt from the barrel extension automatically. And that allows the barrel extension to drop back forward like a recoil-operated gun. Now, when you fire the last shot, the bolt remains open. You can manually drop the bolt using this button on the side of the lower. Now, actually, since we've got the lower here, let's take a look at this. This looks extremely shiny and fancy and complicated. It is, but it's not quite as complicated as it looks at first sight. This right here is our magazine follower. There's a tubular magazine that goes all the way down into the stock that holds 8 cartridges. So they're being pushed up here. This is our elevator right here. A couple little wings to maintain control of the shells. The hammer is right here on the left side of the action. So if I hold that back manually, you can see it working right there. Very nice, light, high-quality trigger in this. When you go to load the gun, you actually have to manually cock the hammer. So you can see there's some serrations there. That's intended to be done by hand. That's all we have in the bottom. Of course, this particular model has some rather quite fancy, nice engraving on it. Safety is back here, and a brake action lever. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and load this up and try it out. Or perhaps not. Like I said at the beginning, the range video didn't quite work out on this one. So my apologies. I will get my hands on another Cosmi and do a proper shooting video with it, but I don't know when at this point. So hopefully you enjoyed this half a video. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic new year, and I will see you in 2022.